All righty, let's go right out to the Bud Light guest line. All guests appear on the Bud Light guest line. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. He is a senior NBA writer at Sports Illustrated. Howard Beck, friend of the program, friend of the station. What's up, Howard? How you doing, man?
Doing all right. Just another fun day in the association. How are you, Phil?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. And we'll start there rather than the Warriors. Reports that Kyrie Irving wants out of Brooklyn. The trade deadline is next Thursday. First of all, tell our listeners what his contract situation is, and then what you make of it.
Well, he's a free agent this summer, and he has been not happy since last summer about the fact that he could not come to terms with the Nets on an extension because the Nets obviously would not want to go as far as Kyrie Irving would want. Obviously, Kyrie Irving wants max money, max years, and the Nets, given all that Kyrie Irving has put them through, wanted to hedge some bets. So they never did come to an agreement. Kyrie could have become a free agent last summer and opted out. He chose not to because it would have cost him a lot of money. He said himself on media day, in fact, that he basically said I didn't have that many options. Can't imagine why. And so now here we are, days away from the trade deadline, and the Nets in this season, which has been all over the map. But listen, before Kevin Durant went down, the Nets were looking like serious title contenders. It's been bumpy without Kevin Durant while he's been hurt, and a lot of that bumpiness has to do with Kyrie Irving kind of, some nights looking like a star who can lead a team, and many other nights looking like a really talented player who cannot lead a team. And that he would make this trade now, this trade demand now, is just, it's stunning on some level because of the timing, and it's just a dramatic move. And on some level, it's not stunning at all because this is what Kyrie Irving does. It's when things are quiet for a few months, expect that something's going to happen. The next hand grenade is always ready to be dropped somewhere, and this is just his history. This is what he does. It was only a matter of time. I couldn't have predicted it was going to be a trade demand, but if you had asked me a couple months ago after his, the last controversy died down after him posting, a link to an anti-Semitic propaganda film, if you had said, what's the next thing going to be, I would have just said, I don't know what it will be, but it will happen. Something will happen. Something always happens with Kyrie, and here it is, a trade demand days away from the trading deadline, while on a team with the guy who's purportedly one of his closest friends, and Kevin Durant, who he is going to leave behind if he can get this trade done.
Howard, I'm so with you. I'm done defending Kyrie, but the one constant, and I tell everybody, this, on the floor, the dude's incredible. And with that, do you think when we reach the deadline, because I'm just like, okay, it's one phone call, a conversation away, they meet his number, he's staying in Brooklyn. Do you think he could be on another team in a week?
I think everything is possible. I think the Nets, there's a couple different ways of looking at this from the Nets' point of view, and I'm going to start with this one. They don't have to do anything. I said this last July, and nobody wanted to believe me then when it was Kevin Durant asking out. I said the Nets don't have to trade him. He's under contract for multiple years, and it would be uncomfortable to bring him back. But if there's anything I think I stand about the way that the Nets operate under Sean Marks, it's that they're not going to make a bad deal or feel like they have to be pushed into something that hurts them down the road. Now, this is a little bit of a different situation, but I think this principle applies in that if the Nets think they can get value for Kyrie Irving and value that will help them immediately, help them still with a healthy Kevin Durant, potentially make a deep playoff run, they'll do it. If they had to trade Kyrie Irving away for, I don't know, either somebody else's bad contracts, players that can't help them, second round picks, I think they would just say, you know what? No, we don't have to do this. Again, might not be comfortable, but they've been comfortable with the discomfort before. And I just don't think they're going to be pushed into a deal that doesn't benefit them on some level. So now the question is there a benefit? Is there a deal that will benefit them? Can somebody make an offer? And is some team willing to make an offer that gives real value for Kyrie Irving, who now the new team has to decide what's the bigger risk? That he walks away as a free agent this summer, or that he wants to stay on a max contract, and we have to now be the ones to marry ourselves to him for the foreseeable future and accept all that comes with that. So this is hard, but there are teams out there that certainly are desperate for talent. And as you point out, Kyrie Irving is immensely talented. You know, he's nobody else in the league can do the things that he does. But there's a lot that comes with it that you have to be willing to accept, and there's a trade-off there, and there's a lot of risk that comes with it.
Howard Beck, senior NBA writer from Sports Illustrated, joining us on the Bud Light guest line. I should know this, Howard, but can the Nets extend him right now?
Yes, and you know the first signs that maybe we would land in this place is that there was somebody from his camp leaking a couple of weeks ago that, or it wasn't even a leak, it might have been even on the record. I think it was on the record from his agent / stepmom, who told Chris Haynes of Turner Sports that Kyrie wanted an extension. And so that was the first sign, like, oh, okay, you're putting it out there publicly, deliberately, that he's trying to get an extension that the Nets clearly have not been eager or quick to do. And so that should have been our warning sign.
Gotcha.
Howard, let me ask you about the 2022 Golden State Warriors, because I was telling everybody last year's championship shocked the you-know-what out of me. I thought they were destined to repeat, and they're 7-20 on the road. It looks like they're not playing a lick of defense. In your mind, can you share with us what you think the current state of the Golden State Warriors are now to Howard Beck?
Guys, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, we know what that starting five is capable of, or even you want to say they're six.
Yep.
And everything beyond that is just a wild card. And you know, but the weird thing about that, though, is this: as soon as you want to say that it's about the young guys not, popping and being ready, or as soon as you want to say it's about the bench, you still look at some of the late game collapses they've had recently, including that Minnesota game, that the guys who you rely on are out there on the court in crunch time. And at that point, Steph is just missing, and they're just, they're not executing as well in crunch time. And there's just something seems off. And maybe that's all a consequence of not having a deeper roster anymore, of not having a reliable bench, because maybe it's just too much to put on Steph at this stage of his career, night in, night out, just to asking him to save you every night, go hit some more 30-footers. I just don't know that that's a great approach.
Right.
And so maybe it's just him getting worn down, and Clay too. Like on a given night, Clay might go for 50, but on a given night he might go 4 for 18. And they're just not the kind of team that can the margin for error is just so much smaller now, and the defense, obviously, as you guys know, is just not there. I don't know how to assess who they are right now. And like you guys, as soon as I see a couple of games where it looks like they're reemerging, and then they backslide, it's tough. But I'll say this: if there's any move they can make with the young guys to shore this up before the trade deadline, I think obviously they have to do it. Like the two timeline approach was nice, it was cute, it was ambitious, it was audacious. You got to scrap that now. You have to do everything possible to not waste what Steph Curry has left in the tank.
Howard Beck joining us, senior writer from Sports Illustrated on the Bud Light guest line. Last one, Howard, if you don't mind. Bob Myers doesn't have a contract for next year. We talk about it a fair amount out here in the Bay. What do you make of that? And is Bob Myers in his last year of his contract, of his Warriors tenure, rather?
It reminds me a lot of a few years back with Masai Ujiri in Toronto, who, like Bob, is one of the best in the business. And like Bob, has had the kind of success where you think it's a no-brainer. This franchise will never let him go. They will spend whatever it takes to keep him. I can't believe we're even having this conversation. What exactly is going on? And for a few minutes there, it looked like Masai Ujiri might leave the Raptors. And it didn't happen.
Right.
And they re-upped him, and they gave him more title, more power, more everything. So, I think if cool heads prevail, then Bob Myers ends up signing an extension, and right now maybe it's just a matter of them arguing over terms. I think what's interesting, Athletic had some great reporting on this a week or two ago about the fact that there's a lot more going on here. It's not just a negotiation issue. It's not just a whether or not they want him. Obviously, they still want him there, but there was other things involved that included whether Bob himself feels like he still has the passion to do this there or somewhere else or not in the NBA at all. I mean, so I think all that's fascinating. I don't have the answer there, but on a basic level, I come back to it, be shocked if Bob Myers and the Warriors don't find a way to continue their association, that he'll continue on there. And, but there are always other elements at work here, human elements. And I do think this, if Bob Myers ends up leaving after this season, it's going to be hard not to think that this is kind of the beginning of the end. You knew it was coming, right? Age issues and just attrition and everything else that happens when you've been a contender for as long as they have been. But, the relationships that Bob has with Steve Kerr, with Steph Curry, with all the critical people there, it just symbolically as well as practically, that is going to feel like a major shift.
Howard, I can't let you go. The people are telling me you got to ask them about Durant. There are reports that teams are calling the Nets to see the availability possibly of Kevin Durant. If you're Joe Lacob, we heard rumblings in the summer, could he come back, be reunited? Do you think the Warriors would pick up the phone and see if Kevin Durant was available?
I don't think so. I think teams are going to be inquiring, of course, because Kyrie and Kevin Durant came together to Brooklyn. If Kyrie's out, that suggests that maybe Kevin Durant won't want to stick around either. But the Nets have already shown at least once before they're willing to figure out a different way forward. And if they can get value for Kyrie, and if they can convince Durant that they've got a plan to reassemble this thing without Kyrie between now and next season, they might just stick to their guns again. But I also think, and listen, I wrote a whole thing about back in November, said burn it all down, trade them all while they still have value. I do think the Nets' better option for the future is trade Durant at whatever the peak of his value is right now. He's hurt again, unfortunately. That's the risk you have when you keep him. But yeah, I think they could cash out and set themselves up for the future. I don't know that the Warriors are the trade partner that can set for the future, because I don't know that the kind of payout you want. I mean, I guess you could ask every pick and every swap, but there are teams out there with more to offer.
I'm with you, Howard. I don't think there's a deal there between the Warriors and the Nets, a realistic one anyway. Hey, we kept you plenty long, Howard. Thank you so much for joining us as always. You're the best, man. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, fellas. Take care.
All right, that's